to my channel Gen Bollywood. Today we will talk about semantic search. Semantic search is used in retrieval augmented generation. Just for a recap, what does retrieval augmented generation do? Is it helps you to make a pre-trained base LLM model to get specific to a specific business use case or a specific context. And today's context, we will again use Andaz Apna Apna's script. We'll load Andaz Apna Apna script and then we will ask some question and uh, see what are the similarity search results are with respect to those questions. Just for a recap, if you see how does RAG work, this is a small diagram which is provided in this deep learning AI's course on LangChain. The course's name is Chat with Your Data with LangChain, and LangChain is a ecosystem and library which helps automate many of the Gen AI techniques and tasks. So if you see what does it do, uh, first whichever whichever specific context we are trying to work at, we have their documents, these PDFs. So what it does, first it splits those documents. Splitting, this is also called chunking. It splits the document and then uh, embedding for these chunks are stored in vector store or vector databases. And then when a user puts a query, then that query, here you see question query which comes from user. So when we put this, then here there is a semantic search which happens. What is that? Is that based on that query we find which are the similar chunks, for that query based on the embeddings, and then those similar chunks come from this vector store, and it is combined with the user query, the question that user asks, and then the query combined with these most similar chunks are fed to an LLM model as prompt. So because here we are augmenting, we are enhancing the user's question with the similar chunks from the vector data store, which stores the typical context, the specific context we want our base model to perform well at. And because of this additional context, the answers are better. The answers are better than just the base model. So yeah, let's run this code. And again, thanks a lot for to founders of this deep learning.ai platform. It not only they teach, but they also provide a compute and an environment where we can run the code and see it running. So that's like very helpful. So here we will upload the Andaz Apna Apna's script. So upload, and a script, where is a script, a triple A movie script, yeah, triple A movie script. We just upload it. Upload, yeah, so it's uploaded. Now let's put this in the code. So I have put it at the same place where at the same place in the same directory where the existing documents were there. I have put the same at the same directory so that we don't face any problems regarding the path of the document. So now you see in LangChain from because our document is a PDF, so we use a loader called PyPDF loader, which is provided by LangChain's document loaders. So here we do like from LangChain document loaders import PyPDF loader. So let's run the code, and then this is splitting. Now that document will split, which is also called chunking. So we have to provide chunk size and chunk overlap as a parameter to this splitter, text splitter, which is called recursive character text splitter. And chunk sizes, our document will be very big. Our document will be very big. So out of that, what is the size of each chunk, right? What is the size of each chunk that we provide here? And then chunk overlap. What happens that if we when we create a chunk, we want it to be semantically meaningful, as semantically meaningful as possible, so that when we ask question, there is a higher probability that answer to a question will be in a chunk, right? So like logical units should be in the same chunk semantically. So this is chunk size 500 1500, but 1500 is a lot bigger because I am going to ask very simpler questions, right? Very simpler questions. So based on the type of questions, we have to decide, you have to play with chunk size. So here I'll set the chunk size, how many words, right? This 500 means 500 words. And then chunk overlap. Chunk overlap, what happens is that suppose when we do the chunking, uh, the semantical meanings might go in more than one chunks. So to improve the semantical completeness of the chunks, what we do is we do some overlap. So once we start a chunk and then we start the next chunk, we try to see that there is some overlapping in between, so that there is a higher chance of more information being present, and the cohesiveness between chunks is intact. So here we will use chunk size 500 and chunk overlap as 50 words, and then using this recursive character text splitter, it creates splits. So it creates the split. Now we see the length of split. So uh, our script, Andaz Apna Apna script, you see it created with 500 words per chunk, it created 211 chunks. Now for these chunks we will create embeddings, and one of the models which helps us create embeddings is from ChatGPT OpenAI, OpenAI embeddings. This is a again a transformer model which for creating chunks, creating embeddings. So it creates a class, an object of OpenAI embeddings, and then here this is just to show that embeddings um, embeddings work. How does embedding work? Embedding work by how can we verify that embedding works? Is that for similar sentences we should get a higher similarity score, and for sentences which have nothing in common semantically meaning wise, then it should have lower similarity score. So that for that example here it says, I like dogs is one sentence, I like canines is another sentence, and third sentence is the weather is ugly outside. So if you see in the between sentence 1 and sentence 3 there is uh, no similarity, right? But between sentence 1 and sentence 2, I like dogs and I like canines, they are similar because dog is also a canine, right? So if you see this dot is the dot product, which is dot product is used to find the similarity or the distance between the vectors. So if you see between embedding 1 and embedding 2, this dot score is 0.96, and but between embedding 1 and 3 it is like 0.77, right? So 1 and 2 were similar, so we get a higher score, and 1 and 3 are not similar, so we get a lower 0.77 score, right? So that is the demo of how embeddings helps find us similar document. And same similarity is used when doing the retrieval. What was retrieval was this retrieval, right? That when user will put query, we will use the same similarity search to find most similar chunks to this question, so that it can be enhanced, and we can uh, we can design the prompt with additional context, right? Now now let's see. uh, and also we need a vector store, right? Vector store means vector database. What are vector databases? Vector databases are um, databases which are specialized in storing the embeddings, that's like vector, which is like list of numbers which represent the sentences, right? Which are optimized for fast search and managing these vectors well, storing these vectors well. So and one example of that vector store is chroma, and chroma is a small database which is like small database which is in memory, so that it can do it, it can spun very fast. So you see whichever splits we had created, we use that split and their embeddings which had created, and then a persist directory, we put a path where it will store, right? So now it will store. Now let's ask for a question from Andaz Apna Apna, and here I will ask what was the profession or business of Amar's father. Okay, so and you know in Andaz Apna Apna what was Amar's father's profession? He was a barber. He had a saloon, right? So now this is the user query. This is the question user will ask, and we will see that using similarity search, what similar chunks are returned when we do the similarity search. So so here we are doing this similarity search, right? From that vector database, we are calling similarity search, and this is the question which user asked, and this k equal to 3 is how many similar chunks we want, right? So here we have given 3, so this will return the chunks and it will go in docs. So length of docs is 3, right? And yeah, now see the first chunk is happens to be Amar's father. I recognize you now, everybody will too in the future. If you have seen Andaz Apna Apna, this is where uh, Amar Amar is showing dream to his father that पिताजी, आज आपको मैं पहचानता हूँ, कल आपको सारी दुनिया पहचानेगी, राइट? और सारी दुनिया कहेगी वो देखो अमर का बाप जा रहा है, वो देखो अमर का बाप जा रहा है, Then Amar's dad says, पुलिस भी यही कहेगी, वो देखो अमर का बाप जा रहा है. So Amar says, there goes Amar father. Then he says, Amar says, पिताजी जब भी मैं खुश होता हूँ आप नाराज हो जाते हैं, जब भी मैं खुश हो जाता हूँ आप दुखी हो जाते हैं. And then his father says, you know, खुश ना हो तो क्या करूँ, जब जब तू खुश हुआ है तब तब मैं बर्बाद हुआ हूँ. So that that sequence has come as a chunk. Now let's see some more chunks, and we will see if this makes sense. Makes sense means the question was what was his father's profession. So you see here, this scene is actually closer to the sequences where film was showing about his father's profession, because this scene is happening in the saloon, right? This scene was happening in the saloon. So that is why when we did the similarity search, we saw this as a similar chunk in the result. Now again, if you see uh, another chunk which has written, after which we will make films only in English. We will need lots of money for this. So this is again about the profession, because uh, because here it is talking about a business, right? So this sequence is after which we will make films only in English. We will need lots of money for this. Money can be arranged. So this is where actually Prem is sitting in Wahwa studio, right? And then then this Johnny Mahmood is showing dreams to the Prem. He says that उसके बाद हम लोग इंग्लिश में पिक्चर बनाएंगे. English, no you. Then Prem says, but we will need lots of money for this. लेकिन इसके लिए तो बहुत पैसे लगेंगे ना. Says, money can be arranged. पैसे आ जाएंगे. Sell your father's shop and his house. अपनी बाप की मकान और दुकान दोनों बेच डाल. Give me half the money and vanish with the other. आधे पैसे मुझे दे, आधे पैसे लेके तू चला जा. मैं यहाँ पे स्टोरी लिखूंगा, सेटअप बनाऊंगा, म्यूजिक बनाऊंगा, तू उस लड़की को लेके आ जा और स्टार बन जा. So this is the second chunk which has come, because here uh, they are talking about uh, they are talking about uh, like a business that he is proposing, that how he'll become a star. So but it is not as similar as the first one, right? So of course we did most similar three chunks, right? So first chunk was that आज मैं आपको पहचानता हूँ, कल पूरी दुनिया पहचानेगी. That was second. And the sorry, that was the first. This was the second, the Johnny from Wawa production. And then the third, if you see, third is it used to be, it no longer is. I'll deal with you, Prem. Bravo, okay. Babulal. So this is Babulal. This is the assistant of Amar's father. Assistant of Amar's father, and he is shaving someone outside the saloon, right? And Amar's father comes and says that, बाबूलाल वफादार, मेरी दुकान फुल है तो तू मेरा धंधा बाहर कर रहा है. So here also they are speaking about business, right? So it is similar to the user's question. So and you remember this scene where he is shaving someone and he says, आपका धंधा नहीं मालिक, इस बार मैं अपना ही धंधा कर रहा हूँ. आपका धंधा बिक चुका, आपके बेटे ने आपकी दुकान शंकर को बेच दी. You know, Amar sold it to Shankar when you went away for 2 days. And then Shankar says, yeah, तुम्हारे बेटे ने तुम्हारी दुकान मुझे बेच दी है. अब मैं वहां चूड़ियों का धंधा करूंगा, चूड़ियों का. So this scene is the third most similar chunk. So you see how this similarity search work. that we got some chunks which are similar to the user's question, and user's question was, what was the business or profession of Amar's Prem. So this concept is very critical in doing RAG or any GenAI or any NLP techniques in today's world. This similarity search using embeddings is a most critical task. I hope it made sense to you, and you learned something, and you enjoyed. For please like, comment, and share to my YouTube channel so that I get encouraged to make more content like this. Thank you so much.